everyone, welcome back to another video. Appreciate you tuning in. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We are not on the water, we are pouring some lead, making some jigs. So today my hope is to teach you how to make your own jigs and hopefully save you some money just like I do. So stay tuned, let's get to it. Thank you. This is our football jig mold. We're starting with the 1/4 and the 3/8 ounce slots. We're only pouring 2. Gotta start with entering your base hole pin. That is the section of the jig that holds your weed guard. And then load our hooks. Line it up. And if you're curious why the mold is all black, you want to set the mold before use so that the lead doesn't stick into the cavities. Close it up, set it down, put a glove on, keep it tight, and then it's ready for the pour. You want to do a quick small pour so it seeps all the way, just like so. Pop, full fill all the way to the weed guard, good to go. That's it. I'm gonna pour up some Neds as well from my uncle. Almost overflowed that. Let's see how perfect. And that's what the set does, is it really allows the lead to freely flow all the way through the whole cavity where you want it to be. But good shots. Alright everyone, we are done pouring lead. We are back inside. Going to be doing some painting of these lead heads. I did not record it, but one little thing that I did is took the end of this jig, see it right there, and basically just filed it off. I use this guy because it catches all my debris, but file it down round, flat, whatever your preference is, and then you have a jig head that's ready for paint. So what I use, this is Protect powder paint. This is green pumpkin. I have a couple base colors that I use. I haven't got too crazy with it yet. But basically what you'll do is you'll take this, you want to fluff it up, make sure it's got plenty of space, that the powder is really fluffy so that your jig sinks straight in there. But what I do is I take my jig head with the base hole pin in. That way you can take your tip of your pliers and use the tip of your pliers to hold that pin in. That's what I do. Simplest way I've found. So you're gonna take a lighter, torch, something of that nature. What you're gonna do is just heat this guy up. You don't want to heat it up too much because the lead will drip on you. So you're just gonna heat this up evenly. Make sure the lead is nice and warm but not too hot. You can see it kind of take this shiny-ish color. It starts looking like it's wet, just like that. And that's when you know it's real ready. So you take that, give it a good dip, pull it out quick, tap it off, and then what I like to do is, it is hot, but forgot my gloves out there, and you do want to wear gloves. You want to get this base hole pin out while the jig is warm still. That way you get a nice clean exit hole on that jig. And then normally I have my vise set up on my desk and everything, and then I'll hang this and let it cool from there. But it's a perfectly painted jig all the way past the weed guard. Nice and smooth. And wait for that to cool off a bit. It's nice and cool now. Stuff cools down real quick. It's real simple to work with. But yeah, that's it. Once this lead is hot enough for you to dip, it'll end up in a hard casing around the lead. So there's one. Set him right there. And then we'll go for the one that we've already done. So just gonna set him down for a second where you can see it a little bit. I like to use a gel, just a simple gel super glue. And you just need a little glob on there, like so. You don't need a crazy amount. Super glue's plenty for these fiber guards. Then you're gonna take your jig hole, and you want to make sure it sinks. You can feel it when it sinks. Then good to go on one. Now that we have our fiber guard glued in, our weed guard, we can take our first skirt. And so when you're making these jigs, you have options. What you can do is you can take multiple individual strands of jig and you can tie it together with a thread and a wire, like so. I do make both kinds depending on what kind of color combinations I want to use or achieve. This one is just a simple PB&J, but you can see the thread and wire. It is not a banded skirt, so when you tie without a banded skirt, you can make your color combinations endless. You can use, say, this color, and then you wanted to add some darker black or some brown or more purple or whatever you would like. You can add more strips of a different color. For video purposes, to make easy, what I'm going to do is use some banded skirts. And I personally, on the jigs that I fish, I tend to run the banded skirts. And the reason why is because I like to take some strands and I like to pull them out. And if you have a wire around the jig like that, you start pulling strands out of it, all of a sudden your whole entire wire is loose. It'll fall apart. So some people hate the banded, the rubber band. Some people like it. It's all your preference. You'll find what you like, or you may already know. So this is my 1/4 ounce football jig. I'm gonna set this up as a finesse jig, just because we're getting heavy crawfish feeds right now from now until pre-spawn, end of winter to pre-spawn. There's a lot of crawfish feeding. Caught a few pretty nice fish in the last couple weeks on crawfish. Haven't managed to get a good video together, but we'll show you a clip of a 4.5, 5 pounder. Caught, fish and crawfish methods. So let's take this jig with the weed guard. He's all glued in tight. Gonna try to spread this guy out as much as we can. And then what I like to do is I like to line it up, like, see how there's this big opening right here and then everything else is kind of even. I like to line that opening up to where when the hook pops through, the hook is in that opening. So I'll just take this, push it straight through the fiber guard, and then down through the rubber band, like so. Pull that little fiber guard out of the way so I don't bend it too much. And then take the jig, push it all the way down through the rubber band. Now, since this is going to be a finesse jig, I don't want a lot of skirting on this little guy. So take all my bottom skirt material, pull it down away from the top, kind of just pinch it down here, and then I dangle all the top skirting. Just let it, kind of rest down there. Then we'll take my scissors, and I just rough estimate. I cut right above the head, and that allows the skirting to pop out evenly all the way around. And then this side's a little bit long, so just give it a little pop there, a little pop there. We'll cut there. Then he's good to go up top. And then now what I'll do is I'll cut this bottom length. And so I'll kind of pinch it together, whatnot. That way I get an even estimate of where I'm going to be cutting this jig. And then I like to just kind of line it up with the hook shank, the end of the bend. And then voila. Simple, real effective, nice hookup ratio on that V-lock hook. This is kind of my favorite type of jig that I've learned that I like to use where I live and where I fish here in Arizona. So if you do start making your own jigs, you will be able to play with things and figure out how you like it. So there's a simple little finesse jig, and then what I'll do is get my thumb to the hook point right where that barb is, go past the barb just a tiny bit, and then I'll cut that weed guard as well. Just get that stuff out of there, make it even more compact yet still effective for keeping me out of hang-ups. So tiny little finesse jig. I'll pair this guy up with 2.5 inch craw, whatever your preference is. I do make trailers as well, but they're bigger. They're for a heavier weight, less compact jig. So thread the craw on there, pop the hook through, run it up the shank, and voila. Simple, super effective finesse jig for when these bass are feeding on crawfish. So real cheap too. You know, the whole reason why we start making baits is to save money generally. So between the lead, the jig, all the materials, you're probably about $1. I haven't, not exactly calculated, but I think it's about $1.50. So real cheap. And if you don't want to pour the lead yourself, you always have the option of buying the jigs, and I will list all of these items: the paint, the hook, the molds, the skirts, everything that you need to make your own jigs in the description below. Again, I will have everything you need. I'll have it all down there. And then also, if you don't want to pour the jigs yourself, you can buy the jig pre-made with the weed guard in it, just like this, but it will not be painted. It will be silver. So you also have that option. You can buy the jigs pre-made and then come home and make it, paint it, skirt it that way, and it'll be a little bit more expensive that way, but you will be able to avoid the price of the mold. You know, the molds are approximately $60. So for this one, we are going to flip this skirt over. So when I did the finesse jig, I put that small head in this side. This is the short side. For this 3/8 ounce bigger jig, I'm going to run it in the long side. So once again, spread that skirt out. Get it spread out as best as you can. Find your hook location, which for me it's going to be this gap here. Pop it through, get it all the way there. Get the fiber guard out of the way. Get the skirt out of the way a little bit. And then pop it all the way up past that guard. There we go. Now, this simple, no trimming. It's not a finesse jig, so nothing crazy goes into this. We just pop that skirt on, spread out these strands a little bit, make sure it's even, looks nice, and then that's it. If you wanted to, you could trim the bottom of this jig however you would like so. Trim your weed guard, good to go. But if you have found this video helpful, if you plan to make your own jigs and I helped you in any way, please please subscribe. I'm a little bit new to the whole video thing, but I'm trying to get my words together, trying to dial myself in. So if you found this helpful, please please subscribe, and we will be back to you soon. Thank you. Bye.